I will actually ask for a specific sign. So I may ask a question and I'll say to spirit, if this is to be, show me a butterfly. Or if this is to be, show me, or whatever. Now, what I preface this is, it's not like I'm going to see a butterfly flying through my kitchen in New York, but I may see a butterfly on a license plate. I may see a butterfly scrolling through Facebook. So the sign is going to come in the way the sign comes in. Mm-hmm. But what I like about this so much is that when you specifically ask for a sign, it's not so ambiguous. And so it's like, oh, there's my sign.
You're listening to The Creative Imposter, episode number 75. Welcome to The Creative Imposter. I'm Andrea Klender, and today I have something so special for you. I am sharing the wonderful, gifted, intuitive woman herself, Tina Conroy, with you. Tina Conroy is the host of the Intuitive Woman podcast, and she also has an amazing Facebook group that I encourage you to go join right now, which is also called The Intuitive Woman. I met Tina through a podcasting mastermind with Elsie Escobar, and then we became pod friends. I've done several readings with Tina. I've actually been on her podcast, getting a reading there a while back. And I also even got to be the voice of her intro for an episode once when she had laryngitis and couldn't record her own intro. And that was super fun. I loved doing that. So I have Tina on the show, and there is a brief interview about the work that she does with energy, with oracle card readings, with clairvoyance, with crystals, etc., and how she came to this kind of creative healing work. But the bulk of this episode is kind of different. What I asked Tina to do was to give me an intuitive reading that would be a forecast for the year ahead in 2019. And I realize that I am releasing this in February, but if you want to know why that happened, you can go back and listen to episode 74 right before this one, and that'll give you a little more context. So if you haven't listened to 74, what you need to know for this to make sense is that I recently received a less than favorable health diagnosis of stage 0 precancerous cells in my breast. That diagnosis came January 2, and I'm working through the medical process right now, heading towards surgery in mid-March, and then recovery after that. However, when I asked Tina to do this originally, it was before all that. I didn't have that diagnosis. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know there was going to be surgery. The C word hadn't really entered my vocabulary as of yet. And I wanted to do an intuitive reading about creativity, about the creative process, about the direction that I was evolving in the work that I do. And I was excited and looking forward to it and thinking it was going to be fun. And then we had it on the calendar. I got this news. I had to reschedule our talk and think about, do I still really want to do this reading now that I have this huge health crisis to manage and to think about? How much of that do I really want to share with you, my listener of The Creative Imposter? How much is appropriate to share? When I thought the reading was going to be about creativity and work and life's purpose and calling, then it seemed super relevant to you. But maybe a reading about surgery and recovery and health and diagnoses and medical risk factors and things like that, maybe not so relevant to you. I don't know. But my own intuition was telling me that this was still going to be relevant, this was still going to be useful, and it was still important to share this with you, as well as to get the reading for myself. So Tina and I sat down in January, and though it is personal to me, I really want you to check it out and listen to the way that she works, the way that she interprets the information that she's getting on a very intuitive plane, on a clairvoyant level, and she will explain much better than I can what all of those things mean. Because as she says, whenever she does a reading for someone on her show, even though it is a personal reading for that person, there very often are messages and clues and guidance that will come through for you, the listener, because you are exactly in the right place at the right time to receive something that you need. And I truly believe that. Otherwise, you would not still be listening to this 4, 5, 6 minutes into the episode. You probably wouldn't have ever subscribed or downloaded it in the first place. So I promise you there is something useful for you in this reading. It's very interesting. I did edit a little bit here and there just to take out a few personal things that I didn't really want to share necessarily, mostly not related to me, but mostly related to other people with whom I am in relationship. And so I didn't think fair to share things about them. So there are some edits here and there, but holistically, the reading unfolds month by month in a very interesting way. And Tina will also share some ways that you can incorporate some of these ideas or practices, or ways that you can tap into spiritual guidance, intuition, etc., creatively for yourself. I think it's a really awesome episode. I also encourage you to check out Tina's podcast, The Intuitive Woman. Go to her website, join her Facebook group. All of these things, of course, will be linked in the show notes for you at thecreativeimposter.com/075 for episode 75. And I also just wanted to mention that I'm so excited to be able to meet up with Tina in real life in person, because she is on the East Coast, I am in the Midwest, but we will both be at Podfest in Orlando, Florida, March 7 through 9, 2019. If you are a podcaster or aspiring podcaster, and you can swing a little bit of travel and time off, I highly encourage you to consider getting a ticket for Podfest. Tina will be speaking with a super short session during the Pecha Kucha, which is on the first day of the conference. And I'll be doing a breakout session, I don't know which day yet, on voice training for podcasters. It's going to be an amazing time. I will, of course, link to Podfest as well in the show notes for this episode. Okay, that's it. I'm so happy to introduce you to Tina Conroy. Tina Conroy, thank you so much for joining me on The Creative Imposter.
Thank you so much. I'm excited. I'm really excited. And I love doing this. I love doing this at the beginning of the year and forecasting out. And I get this question a lot. If someone tells you something, do you follow it? Do you guide it? This is guidance. This is when you get to an intersection, or when you get to a yellow blinking light, you have a choice. Which way do you go? So as we explore, and as spirit speaks through me and speaks to your spirit guides, so I have spirit guides, you have spirit guides, and they commune with us, it gives us messages. It gives us some clarity. Sometimes it gives us validation. And also it guides us. So I like to think of it as, that's why it's guidance, intuitive guidance. And we can then take that guidance and navigate it for our life.
So not really fortune telling, not really crystal balls necessarily, although I know you do love crystals in general. What kinds of tools, Tina, do you typically use when you're doing intuitive readings?
So when I'm doing a reading, actually, even before the reading is happening, once the reading is either booked or someone's contacted me, there's already energy in motion, because we are all energy. So in that moment, in that energy, there's already that everything's lining up, as I say. And prior to a reading, I sit in meditation. I do meditation every day. I meditate every day and have my own spiritual practice. But when I am reading for someone, I sit for meditation. Prior to the reading, I collect my thoughts and I speak for the highest good. I allow myself to get to that centered state. And then when I'm able to be with someone, either sometimes most of it is virtually and sometimes it is in person, then I'm allowing spirit in. And so I get to that centered state. I do use cards, and I will say that I use oracle cards. Oracle cards are different than tarot. And I used to use tarot. I don't use them anymore. It's been I'd say quite so many years. I do use angel cards sometimes, but today I'll be using oracle cards. The difference, which might be interesting for your listeners to know, the difference between oracle cards and tarot is that oracle is more like a smorgasbord, and tarot is very specific. It's wonderful. It has, if anybody knows it, it has its 4 minors, and it has the major, the arcana, and it's very specific on what it is and how to use it. The oracle is a little bit more of my personality. It's how I teach yoga. I don't teach a particular style all the time. I change things up. I like to be different. So the oracle allows us to be a little bit more open to decipher guidance. And I love also working with the cards because the cards are just artistically beautifully drawn. And I have worked with them now for quite some time. And I feel like they're just part of me. And that's kind of how you do that. When you work with cards or any tools, you allow that to be part of you. If I'm in person, I do use a selenite wand. And I do have a selenite wand here today with me because we again are tapping into energy. Selenite never needs to be cleared in the sense that you never have to run it underwater or put it out in the moonlight like some other crystals. And I know that's for another topic, but selenite is always for clearing space and allowing a very clear energy to tap into the energy of spirit.
How do you talk about spirit guides or describe spirit guides if somebody's like, okay, that's a little too woo-woo? I know for me, I used to roll my eyes whenever somebody would say spirit guides for some reason. How do you describe what spirit guides are? How can we understand that?
I think the easiest part is that there is, well, first, I think I have to start with what is spirit, right? So people will say, sometimes people feel spirit within them, within their body, like just feel a sense of ease. And then others may have a sense of outside their body or around them. Sometimes people might, it may be a little bit more religious, like saints or masters, things like that. But spirit guides, they guide us, they protect us. They're similar to, and I know it's a whole topic of angels, but guardian angels. And so if there is a willing person that wants to tap in, there is spirit around you. There are spirit guides around you. There are all different kinds of spirit guides. And in meditations, you can be guided to connect to your spirit guide if that's something that you want and that you want to work with. I find that in the work that I do, I work very closely with my spirit guides, and I work really, a majority of my spirit guides are angels, are the archangels, and they kind of talk through me. So for me, I get messages and I decipher the messages and then I relay them. So it's sort of like a radio. If you think about from spirit to spirit, right? So from and to. So it's like sending out that wave of radio. I may hear it, I may see it, and I see it within my mind's eye. I may maybe feel something or a sense in my body. So there's different ways that I connect with them. It is a little interesting of a topic, and there's many ways to connect with spirit guides. Again, if that's what someone feels called to, there's automatic writing, meditation. I can't say that anymore. But yes, if spirit guides tends to be, oh, I'm not really sure about this, then just allow it to be guidance, just allow it to be intuition, allow it to be allowing yourself to connect on a different plane.
Is this work something that you came by naturally, like you just discovered that you had this ability to make these connections and receive these messages? Or is it something that you specifically cultivated, or both?
It's both. I would say that it's cultivated in the sense that it's a plan, it's a strategy. I did seek out teachers because everybody's intuitive and not everybody's going to do readings, right? So there's different levels of it. For me, I was very highly intuitive, and also I had some interesting childhood experiences. But that doesn't mean, and I always have to preface this, that doesn't mean that I'm special or that other people are not intuitive. I chose this path because it kept really showing up. I kept getting that tap on the shoulder. As I got deeper and deeper in my spiritual work, I started out teaching yoga and meditating and then Reiki. It was hands down, almost spirit saying, shaking me by the shoulder, saying, this is your work. And then there was the cultivation of it, to seek out a teacher. How would I do a reading? What are those messages I'm hearing? And everything seemed, scattered. So I do say to people that if you want to do this work, or if you feel that you're called to this work, seek a teacher, because it's a way of putting it all together. I'm not the kind of person that's going to, walk down the street and say, oh, by the way, this is going to happen to you. I don't, I truly believe that we have boundaries, and I'm a regular person like everybody else. And so when I'm wearing my reader hat, literally, I'm doing air quotes. I had a teacher that I put my reader hat on. And when I'm done with the reading, I take my reader hat off. That doesn't mean that I'm not intuitive throughout the day, but it's a different tapping in when I'm doing a reading. So in my mind, when I close my eyes, and we'll do this when we start with the reading, I close my eyes and I'll share with you. I haven't really shared this on air. I close my eyes, and when I connect, I see a sign that drops down and it says, reader is in.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever said that. That's what I see first. And it just reminds me that I'm here, I'm in, I put that sign out. And then right before I open my eyes, I physically see the sign just kind of, disappear. And it helps me know that this is a reading and now the reading's over. And also what it does is it breaks our line of energy. It allows you to be you and me to be me. And then we go on our path, similar to any closing of any type of ritual.
In my mind right now, the phrase that popped in was permission-based intuitive reading.
Yeah.
Like permission-based marketing. Anyways, is there anything else that you feel like our listeners should know contextually before we just dive right into this reading?
The only thing I would say is that everyone does work differently. So when you seek out an intuitive or intuitive medium, and they're all different, psychic, I shy away from using the word psychic because it does have the connotation of fortune telling.
Mm-hmm.
And although we may talk about the future today, it's in the context of guidance. If you seek out somebody for a reading, any type of reading, ask them really good questions. You can ask how long they've been doing this. You can ask who their teacher is, who's their mentor, and just get the feel from them. Call them on the phone or see them, because I do find that that's important than just maybe looking in the internet and hitting a button. It's nice to feel, do you jive with them? Do you, how do you connect with them? You'll know. And I know that too, when someone picks up the phone, or I can get that energy, but it is nice to have a little bit of that and know that everybody works a little different. Because I'm an energy healer, I work with energy as well. Some intuitives do not work specifically with energy in the sense of Reiki, but they work with energy because they're working in this way. So just be open to, many people do readings very different. So you can go to many different ones and you may get the same answers that you're seeking, but know that everyone does work a little differently.
All right. I have to say I'm a little nervous, even though I've had readings from you in the past. And even though I did a reading on your podcast, I was not really that nervous at that time. But right now, I don't know. There's something like vulnerable about sharing it on my show with my listeners. It's making me nervous.
Let's do a little centering when you're ready. And that's pretty common just in general when people come to do readings. I think they're also, the other thing I might say, if you don't mind, is that a lot of people are afraid. A lot of people are afraid of, what will I say? And will it be bad? Will it be dark? And of course, they're always afraid to hear about illness or death or someone in their family or themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I preface it by saying that it's not that all my readings are butterflies and rainbows, but again, I am not the type of reader that works from the dark place or will ever scare someone into that. Mm-hmm. So if, for example, I saw something and it wasn't clear to me, and say it was in the physical body, I'm just throwing it out there. Yeah. I may say, I'm getting some messages from my guides that you may want to check this out and go to the doctor. So that is a guidance. That's not so much saying there's something there and you need to, that's not the way I work, because that brings everybody into fear. I did have a reading like that years ago, and it was unearthly. Like I felt like I couldn't get that out of my head. Mm-hmm. And so I never read like that. And I wasn't trained to read like that. There's always guidance, and that's sort of how it is. So I do want to share that as well.
I love it. All right. I'm ready.
All right, Andrea. So I'm going to have you sit with your feet on the floor, uncrossed, at least for our centering. And if you can allow your hands to be by your side or on your lap, palms can be up or down, whatever you wish, and have your back straight. Close your eyes if you haven't already, and take a nice, long, slow, deep breath in, and exhale through the mouth. And just allow yourself to breathe your natural breath, whatever it may be at this moment. Try not to regulate it. And with your eyes closed, drop to the bottom of your feet. Sense the bottom of your feet on the earth. And allow yourself to know that you are rooted and grounded in this moment. Now take a moment and recognize the top of your head. And at the top of the head, imagine just lifting up slightly higher as if there's a golden thread that lifts up to the highest realms. So you feel connected to the bottom of your feet and you feel connected to the top of your head and beyond. Now drop into your heart center. This is the bridge between the upper and lower part of your body as well as the chakras, and soften your heart. And I always begin with a prayer and a blessing. I call upon spirit at this time. I call upon divinity, call upon light. I call forth the archangels, the angels, the masters, the spirit guides, deceased loved ones to step forward at this time. As I call forth Archangel Michael, I call forth to release any fear and bring forth courage. I call forth Archangel Gabriel to bring forth messages, and Archangel Raphael for healing. I ask this always for the highest good and the highest good of all, and so it is, and so be it. Amen. Now you can go ahead and open your eyes if they're closed, and you're going to repeat to me your full name 3 times aloud. Now, name holds a vibration to spirit. So it may be your first name, a middle name if you have it, a last name. If you're married, you would say your maiden name. And also, if people are divorced, you say that name, even though you may not use it, because again, it's a vibration to spirit. And you'll say that aloud 3 times.
Andrea Irene Klunder. Andrea Irene Klunder. Andrea Irene Klunder.
So at this time, I'm just tuning into your physical body and the energy around your body, which we call the aura or energy field. And your energy field is a purple light on the upper part of your chakras from about your waist up, so almost a little bit mid to low. It's a purpley kind of amethyst light. And for me, purple is intuition. Purple is spiritually minded. The lower part of the body is a little bit duller, and it's more of like it's not dull, but I would say it's, for me, it's just more of like a golden yellowy kind of tone. That means nothing. That's just sort of the groundingness, and you're very in your body. So right now you're very in your body. You're very centered. I like to always check what I call the body and the spirit clock. Again, this gives me a clairvoyant way, and clairvoyance is what I see. So that's one of my highest clairs, one of my highest skills of clairvoyancy or intuitive guidance. And so there's 2 numbers that come up, your body clock and your spirit clock. And you have the number 3 and 4. And there's only about an hour between 3 and 4. So you're very close again in spirit, very spiritually minded, very connected. They want me to tell you these 2 numbers are very something to look at. So the number 3, they said just there's something about the number 3, and I'll ask you about that in a moment, and the number 4. Now, 4 for me is really about being grounded. I always think of the number 4 like the 4 legs of a table, the 4 legs of a chair. It's rooted and grounded. And spirit is sharing with me that you're a very grounded individual. You're very earthy. You're very organized. You know, it's not that you don't want to be more organized, things like that, but you live kind of in the earth. You're not, you don't work on being scattered. You like things like tangible. You're able to hold schedules. You're able to have deadlines. And yeah, there may be like areas that you need to work with, but that's sort of you. Does that resonate with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the number 3, now the number 3 for me, and then again, this is how I get it from my guides. The number 3 for me is, obviously we say things come in 3s, but it's also, for me, it's the Trinity. It's again, a very sacred number. Now, I'm going to just go ahead and ask you, do 3 or 4 have any resonance to you?
3 is my favorite number.
Okay.
4, nothing is coming to mind specifically on 4.
Now, 4, I'm getting a mother. Your mom is with you? Your mom is here on earth.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's something important about 4 to her. Is there her birth date 4? Is she born in the 4th month? Is there something, was it an anniversary? Does she live with a number 4? But she has a number 4 around her. You can ask her at some point, but it's connected to her. There's some kind of connection with her to you there. And so maybe even through the reading, things like that will come up.
Okay.
So I'm going to move on, take my first card, and I'm going to connect now. Now we're doing a forecast. So I'm going to move us from January all the way to December. And again, do this forecast for you. The first card for January is Birth, Rebirth. And what an amazing card. I couldn't choose these even if I wanted to. It's amazing, that spirit. So Birth, Rebirth, it comes really in a perfect time for January. birth and rebirth. So something is, kind of letting go and something's rebirthing and allowing in. So we have the new year, you're in this cycle. There's also a lot about knowledge that's coming to me, learning more. Yeah, something about knowledge, like just continuing this kind of knowledge and digging in. There's also this type of letting something go. There's something to release and let go. And I don't mean just 2018, but there's something about a course correct. And they're kind of leading me towards work. Something will change or something will shift. So I'm not sure if you've kind of have these plans in order, but that's sort of the energy for January. Does any of that resonate with you? Or I know it's the new year, so it just may be very common.
I mean, definitely there's some factors in my life happening right now that have to do with looking at how I work and managing stress levels and making more time for self-care. That's been a message that's been coming to me in various ways, in various intensities for a while, honestly. And there's definitely a shift in the way I'm working on mentally figuring out how to shift my relationship to work versus leisure and productivity versus self-care and things like that. It's a huge thing right now.
Now, as you're talking, I'm getting some messages about sleep. So tell me a little bit about your sleep, because I work sometimes with Jill Fiel. So she's like a less known angel, but she works with self-care, self-beauty. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole thing about working on your sleep. Do you work wee hours in the night, or is your sleep kind of off?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So sleep is going to be part of your new regimen. If you're looking at your health, definitely look at your sleep. And she's saying something about, I don't know, do you have something do you have one of those trackers in your home or like your wrist? I don't know. What are those things called to track your sleep?
Oh, no, I don't.
Okay, there's something about tracking your sleep. You might want to even just journal it, even if you're just like the good old pen and paper. But she's telling me something about tracking sleep is going to be very pivotal in your health and this new regimen. There are also supplements that you're taking or will be taking. And it's interesting. Do you take 4 supplements?
Tina, you blow my mind sometimes. So I was taking 2 supplements, and yesterday I went to a holistic physician for the first time, and she actually just gave me 2 additional supplements related to supporting the thyroid, and one of them is specifically for sleep. And so now I have a total of 4 as of today.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just tapping into that energy. This is validation. This is awesome, because when we get spirit to validate, and again, that's why I say this is like guidance. This happened yesterday. We're tapping into that energy, and that's great. So that's a positive validation that you're on the right path, and this is a good thing. Your second card, so now we're in February. So the second card, which is February, is the frog. Now the frog is the animal totem cleaning house, releasing emotional baggage. Now it's a little bit that story again, releasing, but cleaning house is not so much about your home. It may be, but there's like cleaning house, like cleaning it up. There's a lot about the physical. I'm getting a lot about the physical body. There is house as well, but it is a lot about just health. That is kind of like the big topic right now. There is an area in your home or a room. I'm picturing, they're showing me something that is more cluttered than others. Is this resonate with you?
Possibly. We just moved a lot of things around in the apartment, and we're kind of reallocating and repurposing space. So there's a lot of disorder and some extra furniture in the main living space that we need to get rid of. It's driving me crazy.
Okay. So those will clear up, as you know, and I know you know this as well. We all know that when we hold this stuff that may not be, it's holding space, right? So we clear up that energy. So yes, I'm seeing like a room, like cluttered. So if you can clear that out, within timing. And again, the cleaning of house is really, truly the physical body. So you're doing the supplements, drinking the water, check your sleep. Again, they keep showing me this pen and paper with sleep or a tracker, which is interesting. I don't know if she wants you to do a tracker, I'm calling her a doctor, but there's something about tracking your sleep. She may ask you about that. The other thing is releasing emotional baggage. So that's stuff that, it's kind of from last year, but it even goes far beyond that. It's past hurts, past wounds, sadness, things like that. So we want to do those releasing. And so one of the things I suggest is, I know you're a meditator, I know you practice yoga. So if you can do some grounding cord and do some releasing, that would be really great to add into your regimen for health. Now we're into January, February, March. So you have a lot of animals in your in your reading. birthday. So we are now in the month of March. And it is the dog. And this month of March is very loyal. So the dog is loyalty, sincerity, and unconditional love. This is going to be a time in March where you're going to really allow yourself. I feel like there's going to be a time like a slowing down in March and really hone in on self-care, slowing down. And you're going to see so many people around you that support you and come to you and that are loyal to you, loyal friends, family, people that show up faithful, connected to you. And March is going to be a quiet month for you, just not in a bad way, but just kind of like taking a step back. There's going to be some taking a step back, and it's going to be quiet. But I always think of March, as I always say this, for me, March is obviously green because I like to think of St. Patrick's Day, even though I'm not Irish. And so it's going to be a good month for you. It would be a good month of healing. And I just say healing in general, and also good things will come your way. There will be some positive things in March, but it's kind of like a time for loyalty. You'll be able to know kind of who your friends are. It's an interesting time in March, but you'll know like who shows up and who's really there for you, that type of thing. Now, April is focus. So this is now sort of, you're coming out of March, you're coming into April, and there's a little bit more focus, there's a little bit more clarity, and there's a little bit more decision-making. There's like, they keep telling me decision-making, some things to do with decision-making. Focus is going to be key here, and allowing yourself to kind of hone in and focus. So a little bit more of, just kind of focusing on your goals, any goals that are projected. So I guess wait, Q1 ends in April. Yes, I always mess this up. January, February, March. Oh yeah, so April. So we're into Q2, right? Mm-hmm. So that would make sense. So I feel like this is sort of like the new birthing. Like April is going to be focused. There's going to be more direction. Projects that were kind of put on hold will be put forward. And there will be a plan made. This is interesting. I do see a plan made for travel. I don't think it will be in April, but there is a plan for the next couple of months, like even the summer. But I don't know if it's so much personal as it is professional. So that's interesting. Or early fall. So whatever, summer, early fall, but it's going to be more on focus. We're moving into May. Okay, so May. So April and May are getting stronger and stronger months for you. May is the dragon. You have a lot of these animal totems. The dragon is power and strength. And May is going to be a time where you've kind of cultivated your power and strength. You have this going forward. And also there's going to be a different sense. There's a different way you see things. It's really interesting what they're sharing with me. It's just, you're going to see things differently. It's almost like a perception, like a film, like a lens. I want you to write that down, like a film or a lens. I know you'll hear this again, but there's something to remind you of that in May. And power and strength. They also, when the dragon comes in, the dragon reminds you how strong you really are. This is what you'll be reminded of, that you are so strong and you always have the power. It's kind of like Dorothy, like you always had, you always had it. It was always within you. It was always there. We never think we do, but we do. So May is going to be sort of this like, wow, I am powerful, I am strong, and I have a lot of strength to just continue on. Do you like dragons? I'm getting a thing about dragons with you. Are you like are you one of those like Harry Potter or story kind of person? Because all of a sudden I went to just put the card down. I went, wait a minute, there's more about dragons.
Not specifically.
Okay.
I mean, I like dragons, and I think more in general, like feeling the way that you're describing, like strength and power sounds really good to me right now.
So you're in June. Okay. June, you have the risk card. I see this. So even without seeing the card, again, we're moving into like the warmer months. Things are feeling good. There's focus, there's power, there's strength. There's a time in June to take a risk. There's something about a risk. And I feel again that this is going to be on a work front. This is a work front. This is risk. This isn't really personal, but obviously everything is personal because it's part of you. But there is a risk to take. And I want to say again, this could be like a risk or a decision, and you're going to make it not alone. You're going to make it with support, and you're going to make it with someone else. It could be your partner, someone very close to you, like a love interest. It's a risk, but it's interesting because I keep tuning in, and it has like a lot of love there. And it's so funny because when I get that, I get this like certain chill in my body. I know that sounds so weird, but like the risk isn't something like, I don't know, it could be something to do with your relationship. Like it's a good risk. You know what I mean? Sometimes risks are like, oh, I jumped out of the plane or something like silly. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be something committed or something, something like either buying a home or, you know, a more of a committed relationship, things like that. It may not be those exact things, but it's something to do with relationship, but it's going to be tied in with work. If that has any strangeness to say, let me ask Andrea, you don't work solely alone. You do work in a partnership. Yes.
Yeah, so my romantic partner is also my work partner.
Okay.
We have separate businesses, but like we work on things together all the time.
Okay, so that makes more sense because it's kind of interwoven between personal and also, yeah. Okay, that would make a lot of sense. All right, because I was like, okay, July. So July, you have what I would call a challenge card, and again, just remember when I say a challenge card, it's like the yellow blinking light. It's not bad. It's just like, okay, what should I do? So this is a restriction. There's going to be some kind of restriction. So we had all these like power and focus. And then there is a bit of a restriction, and we're in the month of July. So there's a restriction like a tightening or a pulling back. What I do see is this is a time to really look at your money and look at your finances. There may be restricted just feeling like you don't have what you thought you would, like your projected future at that time. It's not bad. It's just you may not be where you thought you would be if you projected out. Like sometimes right now people are doing like projected forecasts, like financially, things like that. It's not something that's going to throw you off course or going to be the end of the world by any means, but there is going to be a little bit of restriction. And there is something to do with money in the sense where you may want to do something and it's not the right time. It's just not the right funds for it. You don't have the right funds for it, but that's going to come up in July. We are now into August. And it is the butterfly. Oh, this is my favorite card. So the butterfly for me is obviously it's always about transformation, which I believe that is for you. But the butterfly, it's so interesting. I'm going to share this with you. And the butterfly for me, right before I pulled the card, I got a very clear essence of your father. Is your father with us?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got a very clear like feeling of father image. So I'm going to just tell you what I got and then you can decipher. Okay. So I had a father figure come in. I felt like he was here. What I mean here is on earth, but he's distant from you, either distant in like physically distant or just not in the picture. But what I'm also getting is that there's going to be some kind of different perception from him, like a turnaround, like a change, like he's going to kind of soften, if that makes sense. And it's going to relate to you. There's some kind of relationship to you. And then the butterfly, that's all just part of my butterfly. For me, one of the symbols for butterfly is always like signs and symbols. And so if I even like see butterflies or I'll call them butterflies, that is like my spirit guides. They could be deceased loved ones. They could be angels. So you can also have a lot, I feel like, keep tapping in more in general, just keep tapping in more to your signs. So I know you do a lot of this work. So when you meditate or when you journal, or do you do any type of work like in journaling work?
I used to journal a lot and have not been recently. And it's funny because several people who don't know me very well have said, oh, you should really start journaling. And then which feels irritating to me because it feels very like, well, I usually do. But then also people who do know me have said, have you been journaling? So it's been coming up a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's why it feels like you do, because it feels like you're just so tapped in. Mm-hmm. And I think if you used to do it, it might be something to bring back. Mm-hmm. But in journaling for the signs, and there's many ways you can journal, anyone can do what they like. But with the signs, I always kind of do like that tapping in of spirit guides, and then I'll ask for a sign. So I've shared this before. I believe on my podcast that I will actually ask for a specific sign. So I may ask a question and I'll say to spirit or my spirit guide or angels, if this is to be, show me a butterfly, or if this is to be, show me, or whatever. Now, what I preface this is, it's not like I'm going to see a butterfly flying through my kitchen. Sure, in New York, but I may see a butterfly on a license plate. I may see a butterfly scrolling through Facebook. So the sign is going to come in the way the sign comes in. But what I like about this so much is that when you specifically ask for a sign, it's not so ambiguous. And so it's like, oh, there's my sign. So I always say like, hey, this is play it out, right? It's allowing you to kind of connect and have that frequency, have that response, that receive and giving with energy. So when you put that out there, then you do that. So there's something to share with you. I needed to tell you that story. And so I may have sidetracked, but it was important for the message coming through. Now, your next card is September. And September, you have milk and honey. Now, milk and honey is a really nice card. I mean, it's just, and I'll take some pictures of the cards for you. Milk and honey is rainbows. It's smooth sailing. It's good. This is a good month. And things look very bright. Things look very positive. And this is the beginning of fall. So let's move on to October. My goodness. October. So October, you have loyal heart. Now, this is really interesting because I switched decks and you had, if you remember, we talked about loyalty, right? And now you have loyal heart again. Now, when loyal heart, it's just another sign that people are very faithful to you. This is again a month, October, that you are shown that people's faithfulness and people's commitment to you. And this is more of a personal level. This is on like a friendship level, like who shows up for you, who's there for you. There will be some disappointment. There is some disappointment, and I'm not sure what that's about. If that someone wasn't there for you or do something or something like that, but there's a lot of loyalty. There's a lot of loyalty coming in October and a lot of faithfulness, and you have faithful people around you and a lot of support. There's a lot of support in October. So it's all a really good month. And we're going to move on to November. I can't believe we're going to go through a whole year here. So we got November. So, okay. So November is fork in the road. So this is decision. This is a course correct. So something's going along, you're moving through your path, and then there is a decision to be made. So this is a fork in the road. I feel like this is personal, not business. And so there is a choice to be made, and there's some type of change. There's some kind of change and some kind of choice. Again, I don't ever say it's bad. It's not bad. These are all lessons that we learn, that we take with us. And the fork in the road is coming in the month of November, kind of right before the end of the year. And they want to tell me something about November 3rd. If you could just write that down, November 3rd. I'm not sure why. So now we're in December. We are in the last month of the year as we move towards 2020. And it is the fates. So the fates is really about karma. So it's your fate, that things are knowing the things that you can change and knowing the things that you can't. Or it reminds me a little bit of the serenity prayer, like knowing where you can put your efforts, accepting the things that you can't change and so forth and can. This is a big month for you to kind of let go, let God. And I don't know if that resonates with you. If you don't, you can throw that out the window, or let go, let spirit, and just be with what is. It's also a time to look back on the challenges, but to bless them and to move forward. And there's so much knowledge that has been acquired in these 12 months. Also knowing that there are people that you can't change. This is another big thing. So you've had a lot of loyalty, but you've had some disappointment, but there's some people that you can't change. And then just knowing that you need to accept them as they are and as they show up and allow them to be who they are. And for some reason, this is pivotal for me to let you know. But the fates is, again, it's like that karma, the acceptance of the things that you cannot change and knowing what those things are and having a little bit of that guidance. So I want to tap in just a little bit more. I'm going to do, so those are the 12 months. Again, remember their guidance and their navigational tools. I want to do a little bit of a healing meditation, if that's okay with you. Yeah. And I call this the healing light. And this is good for anybody who's tuning in. And you don't have to be any state of health. This is a wonderful healing tool. So again, we're going to begin with a deep breath in and exhale through the mouth. And as you close your eyes, just drop into the innermost part of yourself, whatever that may be. And allow your breath to be relaxed and soft, as well as your shoulders, your face, and allow your eyes to be heavy. Take a moment to allow yourself to drop in even more and go within the confines of your body. See your body maybe standing out front of yourself like a mirror image and like an outline. And as you draw the outline around your body, that is your energy field, draw it with a golden crayon. And this golden crayon illuminates the outside edges of your physical body. And now within your body, we explore this healing light. And if you don't see it, just imagine that you do. And if you don't imagine it, allow yourself to feel it. There is no right or wrong way to do this. Begin with the center of your heart and see or feel or sense a very tiny light right in the center of your chest. This light is about the size of a penny, and it glows and glistens like an ember in a fire. And as you continue to watch, it gets larger and larger. And maybe now it's the size of an orange. The light is spreading across your chest, like spokes of light, like rays of the sun. And now it's warmed the whole upper trunk and chest. And of course, the back. It's three-dimensional. As you feel, see, or sense this light, you notice it starts to radiate upward towards the throat and up the face. And this light softens around your face like golden sun just beating down on your face. Goes around the top of your head and back down. And then the light meets us back at the heart center. And now it streams from the heart center and warms you down past the rib cage and the trunk and the belly, and of course the back. And then it streams down your legs, your thighs, your knees, your shins, your calves, your feet, and of course the back body, the lower back, the seat, the back of the thighs and knees. And now your entire body is golden on the inside and golden on the outside. And as you go within your body, you see this beautiful glistening light. And now you have a chance to heal any part of your body that you feel called. So with your eyes closed and your whole body is already glistening with golden light, feel, sense, or see your physical body and notice any part of your body that you want to send a very special healing light to. This is a focused light even beyond the golden healing light. So find the area. There may be more than one. And if there isn't any, just stay with the golden light. Send this very specific spotlight of light to this area or areas and see it healthy, vibrant, extra glowing energy. Beautiful energy of cells, and the light is strong. Stay with that image. and continue to send this beautiful spotlight, this healing light to this area or areas in your body. And continue to breathe. And now we'll do the same emotionally. So scan your body and notice any emotions that are hanging out. Emotions that you want to create in positive effect. Notice them and send that light to those emotions, allowing the emotions to soften, shift to positivity, to possibility, to all things good and pure and healthy. And keep sending that light. And now, before we close, imagine the top of your head. And there's a golden light atop your head. And this one last time showers you from the top of your head and down the sides of your body and down the front and back of your body. And you're completely cleansed, healed, and light. You are held in this golden light, supported by spirit, and connected. Take another deep breath in and you'll hold it slightly at the top. And exhale through the mouth. And I close with thanks and gratitude to Spirit, always for the highest good. And so it is, and so be it. Amen. How do you feel?
I feel like I need a deep stretch. That's what I'm doing over here. I'm like reaching my arms up and like, oh, like I just woke up.
Definitely. So that's something really good to do. So it's very common to feel that after a reading. And so you want to move your body a little bit, come back to earth, fingers, toes, stretch, kind of coming out of. And then I always suggest drinking a nice full glass of water, maybe with lemon or just water, and just get that water in the body.
And then what do you suggest, like once you've had a pretty extensive, forecast like that, what do you suggest you do with that information next?
What I do and what I suggest I do is to write it down, what you remember. You can actually listen to this again because it's a recording. Some people don't have that. And so you can write down each month and you can just kind of write down the cards. You can write down what you remember. I would do it from memory first and then decide to go back and listen and then put it at the end of your journal or put it on a piece of paper somewhere and then let it kind of be there. And then there's always that you can always kind of look at it. We don't want to look at it and follow our life to it, but it's always nice to look back or, look a little bit forward, but you don't want to be like, okay, now this is going to happen, this Kevin. It's sort of like pulling a daily card. I know sometimes you've done that. So pulling a daily card gives you like a reference for the day. Yeah. Another thing you can do is look at it because you already have it written down and you can look at it the first of the month and say, oh, so wait, my month is going to be focus. Let's see how that plays out. Okay. Right. And then journal through the month. And it's sort of like using a word for the year, right? So like my word this year is growth. So if I keep that story, that consistency, that anchor through the year, I keep coming back to that. So it's interesting. You can use it similar to that. What was this month like? Oh, okay. It was the dragon, power and strength. Let's see how the dragon shows up in this month for me. So it's sort of like being like inquisitive, like a child. This month was power and strength. It's be interesting to see where the areas of my life of power and strength. You know what I mean? So it's like a reflective process. What I love about, I love Colette Baron Reid. I love her. And one of her favorite things she says is, it's not about prediction. It's about prescription. Right. So like you go to the doctor or you see someone, they might say, take this and this, but see how you feel. It's not like this is exactly what's going to happen because we don't know. So it would be nice to do something like that. So write it out. And then the first of the month, you can look at it and see how, and you can reflect on it. it's interesting how those things will show up for you and how you navigated them. So that's one of the ways that I think is a really great way to use it.
And then if listeners think this is amazing, like I do, what is the best way for someone to connect with you, to get to know a little bit more about how you work?
Yes, I hang out on Facebook and I hang out on Instagram. So you can always find me there. I'm the Intuitive Woman on Instagram, and the same for Facebook. I do have a private Facebook group and my website. So tinaconroy.com, just my name. And I do give readings all around the world on Skype, on Zoom. And I also have different courses. So I always do have, it's sort of a never-ending coaching course where if you want to develop your intuition, a little bit different than a reading. So a reading, obviously you can contact me. It's a 4-week course. It's tailored to you. It can start and end when you like, but I love doing that. So that's sort of if you want to tap into your intuition, develop your intuition. So you can find that in my website as well.
And I love, 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 personal endorsement, the Intuitive Woman Facebook group with Live at 5 on Fridays generally.
Yes.
Where Tina pulls sometimes 3, sometimes 2, sometimes 4 different cards early in the day, and you select which card, and then you find out what your card is at 5. And then there's also an opportunity generally for a personal card pull as well. So I think that is a really great way to get a sense for the way that Tina works and the connection. And I just love those so much.
Thank you. I think I was saying the other day, I was writing a letter or writing my blog, and I think I've been doing Live at 5 for almost 4 years now, 3 years maybe. And I've been pretty consistent. Last year, my word was consistency, and I was pretty consistent no matter where I was. There I was, Live at 5. Yes. So come join me. Find me on the Facebook group every Eastern time, 5 p.m. I'm pretty much there.
I love one time when you were in a hotel and you were like, people are looking at me really strange right now. I don't know how long I can be here.
Yeah. I mean, I have to tell you, when you're in New York City, nobody cares, but you think they care. And a lot of times with my husband, he's like, nobody cares. So I usually, one of the times I was on a big rock in Central Park, I have my little tripod thing and people are walking by and I'm just ignoring them. And they were pretty much ignoring me. So it was more in my head. They do not care. So They probably thought I was doing some kind of like FaceTime or something. I don't know. But yeah, thank you, Andrea. I love that. And it's one of my favorite things and fun things to do during the week, Live at 5.
How are you feeling? I have to say that even though I recorded the session with Tina in early January, it took me a while, a few weeks to actually go back to it, re-listen and edit the episode to share with you. And part of it was just because I felt that there was so much in there that I needed to process and digest. And I needed to give myself a little bit of space between hearing it the first time and then re-listening to it and reprocessing it the second time. And there were things that I had remembered, and then there were things that I had forgotten. There were things I had written down, and then things that I was like, whoa, that's new to me. I didn't notice that the first time around. And I think that is how it is with any kind of intuitive work. It's a process. It's not just a thing that happens one time, and you hear what you need to hear and get what you need to get in the moment that you need to hear it and get it. And so I am so, so grateful to Tina for playing along with me and doing this thing and sharing her gifts and talents with you here on The Creative Imposter. Of course, once again, I want to encourage you to check out the Intuitive Woman podcast, the Intuitive Woman Facebook group, Tina's website. You heard me gushing about Live at 5 on her Facebook group. It's so amazing. And I will be linking to all of those wonderful things, as well as Podfest coming up in Orlando, Florida, March 7 through 9. We'll both be there. We'd love to see you there if podcasting is your thing right now. All of those links will be in the show notes at thecreativeimposter.com/075. On the next episode of The Creative Imposter, I'm going to be talking with Aya Nicole Cook from Haji Healing Salon in Chicago. It's such a sweet, compassionate, deep conversation. You're going to love it. This episode was mixed by Edwin Ruiz of Mondo Machine. Our theme music is by Jovia Armstrong. I thank you so much for listening and being a part of this collective energy here on The Creative Imposter. And this week, I am encouraging you to take a risk. Try something new. Look at something in a different light, or use a new tool or guide to help you connect with your own creative intuition.